We're back with another episode of the Can of Corn Podcast. Prep Baseball Iowa presents the Can of Corn Podcast. I'm Parker Hageman. Over there is Rob Allison, the man, the myth, the legend. Rob, how are you today?
Good. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. It's a beautiful day. Ready to rock.
We've finally gotten through, I guess, would be the busiest portion of the spring in terms of events in the upper Midwest. Do you feel like you've caught your breath yet?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Or I'm just so emotionally and physically broken that it's gone full circle and I feel good. But no, it's been an awesome preseason. We've had a great February and March, and looking forward to keep going full steam ahead.
Yeah, let's dive in right away to the Preseason All-State, as has been described, the Catalina Wine Mixer, the social event of the spring within the upper Midwest. Sportsplex West, 2 weekends ago. Give us your thoughts and your feelings.
Yeah, great day overall. We had such a high percentage of currently ranked guys in attendance that day. We had some pop-up guys, some new guys to the ecosystem that really showed out. And Sportsplex West is always a great host. They roll out the red carpet for us, and being able to put that event on in the first place. And it was really good.
I mean, the weather was almost to the point where we could have hosted it outdoors. I don't know if you're ever going to consider doing a March event outdoors, but usually I feel like you're risking snow and everything else, but it was actually kind of a nice day out.
Yeah, we've been on a little bit of a roller coaster here the last couple weeks with weather. Some really, really nice days, and then it gets cold, and then you go out west towards Omaha, and they're in blizzard conditions after an 80 degree day. So it's been a little sketchy. I remember 3 years ago, a buddy of mine knew I was going to be in Des Moines, and he said he had just gotten some deer sausage or deer sticks or something like that, and he knew I was really busy, so he texted me and he's like, "Hey, I didn't want to come in. I wanted to drop these off for you, hook you up. I just put them underneath your truck." Well, I didn't get the text for 7 hours. I never checked my phone. The problem is it was March, and it was a 70, 75 degree day. And finally, at the end of the night, when I got out there, saw the text, looked under my truck, there's this beautiful package of deer sticks. But now they had sat under my truck for 7, 8 hours. And I actually ended up having to throw them away because I was so terrified of salmonella. Selfishly, that'd have been the one day where I'd have been happy. We were indoors. If there was no weather, it could have been 15 degrees. And then I could have nibbled on deer sticks all the way back home. Yeah, that was a huge bummer that year.
I thought you were going to say you had to wrestle it away from a raccoon, and yeah, the whole package of sausage.
They're called trash pandas.
Yes.
But yeah, that would have been great. Reach under my truck and lose a limb to a trash panda over a package of deer stick. Wow. If that ever happened, I would start going to church twice on Sundays.
At some point in time, we got to set up a wrestling match between you and a trash panda. But let's go back to the 2025 Preseason All-State.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've crunched some numbers. You looked at it. You've compared it to everything that you've seen in the past. What stands out to you? What did you notice about this year?
Yeah, just stupid volume and guys performing, at least metrically, at a really high level. When I chopped it up, we had 29 guys that ran 7 flat or better on the new vault system, which obviously is pretty outstanding. We had infielders. Mm-hmm. 49 infielders went 83 or better across the infield. And same outfielders, 42 ran at 83 or better. We had 22 catchers that were 209 or better pop time wise. And then pitching, it was just arm after arm after arm of really interesting guys on the mound. But 62 guys in total ran at 83 or better. And so that I think one perspective I have, and anyone who's ever been to an event, like I'm very adamant about trying to accrue realistic statistics on these guys. You know, you see some of these posts on social media, you see some of the gong show stuff that happens at maybe other people's showcases where kids try to turn things into like run and guns, or they try to cheat the 60
Catchers are getting
start.
a running start behind the plate. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, or the catcher is literally like straddling the plate, catching the ball, and then gaining 4 feet on his pop time. So I really bark at the kids. Like I keep my thumb on them because I understand that they want to put up a PR or a big number, but as we talk to nauseum, like it has to be realistic and it has to be playable at the same time. If they're chucking it 20 feet up into the rafters, like it really doesn't matter. So I'm really confident in the numbers. Obviously, it's really quality numbers, high volume of guys that performed well. So it was pretty sweet.
It's now that you get a few weeks to step back and reflect. And I was talking to somebody else about this. It's when you're running the event, it kind of feels like you're in a Monet painting, like when you're up close and you just see all the dots, right? You know what I mean? You just see a little bit of everything, but when you stand back, you get that full. Maybe it's not Monet. My art degree isn't being applied here. I can't remember which artist does that. But when you stand back and you get the full scope of everything, you kind of can put everything into perspective. Is there something that, when you kind of look back at it, when you look at the video, you look at the numbers, you look at anything else like that, when you could see the whole entirety, is there something that stood out to you with this group? Like, I know you mentioned the velo numbers and all that stuff, but was there something that you're like, hey, the strength here was athleticism, it was size, it was this? What did you take away?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a great like cliche phrase, sometimes it's hard to see the forest when you're standing in the middle of the trees. Like we are so hyper focused on functioning the best event possible and keeping it organized and putting guys in the best position we can to succeed and perform really well, that you don't necessarily all have the time to like lock in on every single individual, every single pitch, every single swing, just because there's so many moving parts. But I think we've seen it's the trickle down effect from the national level. Like being out at the Super 60, my one takeaway at the Super 60 was like, oh my God, these guys are so physical. And I thought that was the same case at the All-State. You just have different, when you start going to that above average high school baseball player and their mindset and their training and what they're trying to do to develop, you're just talking about a lot of different human beings and how they're built. But yeah, we definitely had a lot of guys fully filling out medium, large, and extra large Mizuno direct fit t-shirts. Like they put some serious time into their development, and I think it really showed.
We're gonna have to start adding like how much do you bench and squat into the event too, right? We'll get some weight room stuff in there, add that in, as if there's not enough things that we're keep adding on. I mean, more and more. That's part of what we do as the event. We add more value to what you can do with the jump mats and everything else. So I mean, to me, like the just looking from the parts of the showcase that I was running, I thought like you said, the foot speed, the 60 times were pretty good for having that spring. I mean, we didn't see any records fall or anything like that, but like from just an average overall, like, hey, there was a lot of good foot speed. There was a lot of good run times across the board.
Yeah, and especially with indoor facilities, guys can work on their form a little bit. They can work on their starts, maybe their 10-yard splits, things like that. But from a training perspective, none of these guys, they can't run 60s. Like they just simply don't have facilities that have the space to train at that distance. So for those guys coming out of snowbanks and gymnasiums and smaller training facilities and running that well really speaks to just their higher level of athleticism, I think.
I don't want to dive into individual performances, but there's a couple of things that I took note of that I just want to pick your brain on. There was a freshman in 2028, Jacob Pyro, if I'm saying that right, Pyro.
Yeah.
Threw 90 on the mound. And it made me think the last time you might have seen a freshman throwing 90 in the event or within that. And the first one that comes to mind was Oki But maybe he was doing that even as an eighth grader before then, right?
And actually, Oki never, because of his early commitment and all the moving parts of his training schedule, he was never at an event. But even as a freshman, Oki was like 85, 87 in that range, and then obviously continued to tick up and grow. Yeah, I would be hard pressed. Like if I went into a deep dark dive into the website and every single event we've done, even if I left like a trail of M&Ms behind me to find my way back out, like I don't think there's ever been a freshman that's shown up and thrown with that type of velocity. I mean, that's obviously for that age, it's outstanding. And I think the interesting thing with him is like, and this is a knock on him. I think this is a huge positive. I mean, holy cow, he looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a little skinny kid, typical freshman type body, but yeah, he's got a serious hose attached to his body right now and can let it fly. I knew he probably had a chance to throw pretty good. I actually saw him. I had the opportunity to drop into University of Iowa's showcase in late January. And I think that day he was like 86-ish. I know there are some social media vids out on him of him going higher than that, up to like 88, 90, somewhere in that range. But for him to show up in March and be able to pump that type of fuel is pretty impressive.
Should also mention he's the younger brother of Will, who was at the pro case a couple weeks before that too, and also throwing mid nines. Yeah, mid eights would be all right. Yeah,
yeah. His older brother like is a big, thick, stout dude, like big butt, big legs, really strong. You'd have to assume that the younger brother is gonna develop in a similar fashion. So yeah, he's gonna be a fun 2028 to follow over the next few years.
I know I said I wasn't going to name names here today, but one of the performances I just had, because it's funny to me, we talk about the run times. I was on the tunnel that Hunter Minner showed up into, and being from Minnesota, not being as entrenched, I wasn't familiar with his game, so to speak, right? And he shows up, and he's built like a fullback tight end type guy, right? And I don't know if you ever do this when you're running the lanes, but you kind of just do a projection in your head. You go 7-2, before they even line up. This is what I think. And in my head, I'm going 7-6, 7-7. He rips off a 6-9, and that's just to start the day, right, for him. And everything else was as a 2027 extremely impressive. I mean, you don't have to share your thoughts if you don't want to, but he's also going to be in the spring league. Just from what you thought of what his performance was like. I mean, and where he came from, where you saw that 32nd in the class, what did you feel on that one?
Yeah, he obviously is going to make some pretty sizable jumps in that class. I mean, if baseball doesn't work out for Hunter Minner, like he's going to get paid a lot of money to be a bouncer at some nightclubs or whatever. Like he is a big, strong, thick, sturdy, like he fills it out. But yeah, his body kind of like it's not a bad body at all. He's just big, strong guy. But then when you look at some of the athletic testing, you look at the 60, you look at his overall performance metrically, like his output is crazy good across the board.
And then when you scan down the roster and you see that he's 2027, that also, gives you pause of like, oh, okay, because he's throwing 90 off the mound, 100 exit velo. There's a lot there, and there's time to do more work and another couple of preseason All-States for better numbers too.
Yeah. One guy who stood out to me, I think he continues to kind of plant his flag, is Trent Gravengood. Like,
oh yeah,
you go across the board and you sort and filter, and like every single category, there he is hovering at the top. Has some juice at the plate, can really run. Best fastball velo of any of the arms on the mound. He just keeps ticking up, and and you had mentioned with Hunter, and the same with Trent, and a lot of these guys, it's going to be really fun now getting out of the showcase aspect of things, but so many of these guys are also participating in our spring league that now to see them in game action, couple those two things together, I think that's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for them. It's going to be huge for us from a scouting and evaluation perspective. And I'm really excited about that.
I think the thing with Trent that was interesting, and just and kind of the whole showcase thing in general, and obviously, like you said, he put up some eye popping numbers pretty much across the board in every little event that we put together. But we've seen him spring league, fall tournaments, and I don't want to say he's been buried on some good teams, but like he's been on a roster where you're kind of looking at some other guys on the field, like some of the higher ranked players, but he's always performed very well. It's almost like this was a showcase that just reaffirmed how good he can be. And if you're a college coach, like, yeah, you're going to say, okay, this spring, I'm going to be following that if you weren't already following him.
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I had years back when I was at Iowa Western, there's a shortstop at Millard West, and he was kind of gawky. Maybe the movements weren't crisp and clean and sexy, but he was a guy that I bet I went, and I've never did this before, but I bet I went back and watched him like 5, 6, 7 times. And just he was really intriguing, kept being really intriguing, kept my interests alive. I would call back to the office. They would say, hey, how'd he do? He went 3 for 4 again, made every single play in the field. There wasn't a lot of people on him. We got on him. 2 years at JUCO, and then he played at Oklahoma State. And to me, Graven Good is that type of guy. Maybe doesn't come across as the most sexy, even though he has a ton of ability. But there's just all these positive qualities about him I think are just going to keep bringing people back to him and keep eyeballs watching what he's doing. And if he continues to put up the track record that he's put up to this point, he's going to have a lot of options.
Well, that pretty much wraps up a little bit of the preseason All-State talk. I mean, we can transition to a little bit of the spring league stuff, which we'll have week 1, hopefully weather permitting, in the bag by the time this drops on Monday. And everybody, what is the Iowa Spring League?
Yeah, we started it probably 3-4 years ago. It's an invite-only type league. A majority of the teams in the league are club-driven, to where they'll compile their best guys onto 1 or 2 teams at each the 18 and 16U age group. I put together 2 prep baseball teams, one being more upper-class centric, the other one being younger guys who've really stood out or performed at an extremely high level. Especially my younger team, it might be all freshmen and sophomores playing at the 18U level, but all these guys, they're the types of guys that they started on varsity as 8th graders or 9th graders. It doesn't behoove them to play 16U baseball anymore. From a physicality standpoint, maybe from a seasoning standpoint, there'll be some times where they'll get a little over their skis and really have to fight to keep their head above water. But I think it's a really good challenge for them. And then my 18U team is pretty loaded up with higher-end guys. But really why I put the league together, I mean, the meat and potatoes of it is I wanted the best players in Iowa playing with and against each other. Iron sharpens iron type mentality. And I wanted it to be an opportunity for these guys, not necessarily, they are using the spring to get ready for the summer season, but long term, these are guys that need to be playing with and against these types of guys on a weekly basis, because it's only going to help them once they get the heck out of high school and off to bigger and better things. So we're excited about it. We go 6 weeks in a row, use the Grimes Plex, beautiful facility, turf fields. But yeah, other than battling the inconsistency of weather, be a great spring.
Yeah, and if we look back on last year's run, of course, it was the spring of Joey Oki. Trevor Baumler was obviously just as good, if not better, from both ends of the ball. I mean, he down at TCU, but one of the things that I take away is having to fight major league scouts to be able to get to the screen to take video, take radar gun readings, because there's some dudes out there, and these guys, the scouts want to get eyes on them.
Yeah, and obviously for 3Ts this year, Tatum Gray is going to be the front runner. I've already taken numerous calls from various scouts and organizations, me needing to get the rosters or schedules in their hands so they can start planning out their trips and those types of things. But for me, when other than maybe one or two guys, when I go down like that 25 and 26 rankings, and guys that I think maybe have a heartbeat, that are going to be interesting from a pro perspective. Maybe it's guys that have participated in the pro case previously back in February, but really like almost every single guy that, from a scouting perspective, from an MLB perspective, I'll be playing in Des Moines this spring. That was one of my big goals. And, I think we brought that to fruition. So I think it's going to be pretty good.
Are you excited to be back in the dugout, to be manning the team, to be skipping, being the skipper?
I am. I think there's a lot of value in that for me. Obviously we're not out there ring chasing. It's not all about wins. Like, biggest thing for me is I want to be able to bring them a little different perspective, or at least my mentality, from previously coaching and kind of knowing what it takes to perform at a high level, collegiately. So if there's times that I can educate them, help them, give them some little tidbits of information, but I think it's going to be good just to be in the dugout. Obviously a lot of these guys, I know them relatively well, but just being around them on a daily basis and get to know them a little better and how they're wired and how everything ticks, only helps me from a eval and scouting perspective, while still being there and every team we play, again, to see every single guy on those squads and up front and personal, again, to watch them play right there on the field. It'll be good. There's certain aspects of coaching that I miss, but I get into it a little bit, whether it be future games or something like this, and then ultimately it'll reaffirm why I decided to get out of coaching, and so it'll be good. It'll be good.
Do you compare your style more to like a Lou Piniella red ass type of guy, or are you more like a Joe Madden, like, hey, everybody love everybody and let's all bond?
I'd say I think I've gravitated pretty much to being pretty laid back at this point. Guys that played for me back in college, they're probably like spitting their coffee on their keyboard right now, saying I'm completely full of it. But yeah, collegiately, like, I was probably a lot of fire and brimstone, chomping a lot of ass and getting after people pretty good. But in my old age, I think I've mellowed quite a bit.
All right, I'm gonna wrap up our podcast with my one and always surprise question for you. This one is just gonna be, what's Rob watching? What's on the queue? What are you streaming? Is it a movie, a show? What do you got? What do you recommend?
Thanks. One, I really enjoyed the show on Paramount, 1927. I don't know if it's fire, but it definitely is starting to smoke a little bit.
Okay.
I think that's pretty good. I enjoy watching that. I really don't like the fact that they drop only one episode a week. Like, I'm kind of I'm more of a binge watcher type guy. So having to wait 6 days consistently is really starting to annoy me. But then I was really looking forward to, and it finally dropped on Netflix actually yesterday. But I watched the movie Den of Thieves Part 2.
Den of Thieves. Okay.
Yeah, Den of Thieves Pantera is what it's called. If you haven't watched the first Den of Thieves, you're shortchanging yourself. Pretty good movie.
You'd be lost if you didn't watch the first one?
You'd have to watch the first one.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was, like most, like, second one, it is pretty good. Wasn't great. But you
hit
find
the
that
spot a little bit. It wasn't, it was good.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely queue up Den of Thieves and then wash it down with Den of Thieves 2 and move on with your life.
Well, there you go. Well, that's that's in a nutshell the preseason All-State, the 2025s. Like you said, we got the spring league coming up. We'll start it on Sunday. We'll try to get a weekly podcast kind of reviewing a little bit of what we saw, a little bit of some of the action that happens in Grimes. Rob, any other thoughts, upcoming notes, anything else that players should be looking for?
Yeah, we have some events getting ready to drop for the end of April. Guys to get an opportunity to update some numbers, get on the radar, whatever it may be, right before the high school season starts. So those are coming down the pipe here in the next couple days. Obviously, we're gonna kill it spring league wise with player highlights and social media and scouting and all those good things. Get ready for the summer season. Wash, rinse, and repeat.
That's great. I'm looking forward to getting down to Des Moines and seeing you again and watching more baseball with you. That was Rob Allison. I'm Parker Hageman. We'll catch you guys very soon.